Inspiring interviews with today's top landlords. This is the Rental Income Podcast. And now, Dan Lane.
Terry, when you were first starting out investing in rental properties, did you make any mistakes?
Man, I made so many mistakes, Dan. I bought in the wrong areas. I tried to do a lot of the work myself because I thought that would save money. I hired folks that were not skilled craftsmen because I was trying to save money. I made so many mistakes when I was getting started. The first house that I bought, I didn't even know that I needed title insurance. So yes, I've made so many mistakes.
Terry has developed a well-oiled machine, and on the podcast today, Terry is going to share with us what he's found to be the most profitable type of property to buy as a rental property. We'll talk about how he saves money on rehab expenses, his trick to get more people to apply for his properties, and how he retains tenants. Joining us on the podcast today from Memphis is Terry Kerr. We'll take a quick break to thank our sponsors. We'll come right back and we'll talk to Terry. It's a lot of work to find a really good rental property. And when you actually find that property, you want to make sure you're working with a lender that can get that loan closed. The lender that I recommend is Chaley Ridge from Ridge Lending Group. She's a nationwide lender and her specialty is helping investors finance rental properties. She has a ton of loan programs and she can find something customized to you for your situation. If you want to find out more or you're ready to get started today, just go to ridgelendinggroup.com. That's RIDGE lendinggroup.com, NMLS 42056. I want to let you know about a really easy way to track your rental income and expenses. It's an accounting software custom made for rental property investors. It takes just seconds to enter an expense or to record that you collected rent. It makes tax time really easy. Just run a report and give it to your tax person and you are done. They're currently offering a free 30-day trial. There's no credit card required, so if you don't like it, there's nothing to cancel. You can learn more and sign up today at rentaltrial.com. That's rentaltrial, Trial, rentaltrial.com. Before we get into the interview, I just want to point out that Terry's company, Mid-South Homebuyers, is a sponsor of this podcast. But with that being said, Terry is not sponsoring this episode. He's not paying to be here today. He's just a regular guest. So, Terry, let's start things off by talking about your portfolio. What does your portfolio look like?
Right now, I've got about 60 houses in my rental portfolio and have about 6 commercial properties. Most of those commercial properties are company inhabits. We've got about 110 W-2 employees and a bunch of subs. So most of our commercial stuff is owner occupied, if you will.
All right, let's go back to the very beginning. So how did you get started? Tell me about your first deal.
Yeah, so I was selling advertising at the Memphis Business Journal, had an infant daughter. My wife and I wanted to keep our personal overhead low. We were renting a duplex and decided to buy a fixer-upper. And we did. And boy, it needed a lot of fixing. And I spent 7 months working nights and weekends before we were able to move into it. And 2 months into the rehab, I decided this is what I want to do. I came home and told my wife late one night that that's what I wanted to do. She was fully supportive, and we tightened our belt. As soon as we closed on the refinance of that fixer-upper, I put in my 2-week notice and took a 50% pay cut to take an outside job selling security systems so I would have the flexibility of trying to make a run at the real estate business. And fortunately, it worked out.
You know, and that's really the magic of real estate. So you took an ugly house, you made it beautiful, and then did you create equity in that property by fixing it up?
I did. We ended up with a $64,000 line of credit, and that line of credit was the financial launching pad that we needed. So I borrowed money from a private lender to buy houses, and I used my own money from our line of credit to fix up the houses. And that's how we got started.
So were you, the houses that you were buying at that point, were those flips or were you buying rentals?
Well, I intended and started to just buy rentals. I bought a couple of rentals, and it took me a while to do it. And then I saw the cash flow, and the cash flow was great. But it occurred to me that it was going to take a long time to build up that rental income. And so I decided that I wanted to flip some houses retail, and figured if I could make $20,000 a pop and just do 3 a year, I could replace the salary that I had from my previous advertising job. And then, as fate would have it, I ran into a schoolmate that I hadn't seen in probably 10 years, who had about 10 rental properties and wanted to buy my rental properties. And I asked him, why would he buy rental houses from me when he could just buy them and fix them up himself? And he said, because I don't have enough time. So I sold him a couple of rental houses and made not very much money, but back then it was a lot of money. And I think I made $3,500 on one, and I hit a really good pop and made $12,000 on another one. And then the business of passing bargains on to bargain hunters began, and from there on, I just never looked back.
So then you were, I guess, like your income then was coming from the flipping houses, and then would you flip a few houses and then keep one? Is that kind of how you were growing things out?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And then, but of course, then the credit crisis came, right? Came pretty quickly. And it was tough to get financing. And then all of a sudden, investors, were having to put 20 to 25% down. It was hard to save up 20% down, for these houses. Mm-hmm. So, I just started building my rental portfolio slowly. And I think we added probably 4 to the portfolio last year.
And when you're buying a property to rent out, are you always looking for properties that you can rehab, or do you ever come across properties that are just rent ready and good to go?
There are the occasional properties out there that are rent ready and good to go, but there's a lot of competition for those. Everybody wants them. Mm-hmm. And so, from day one, the first house I ever rehabbed was a train wreck. And I love the instant gratification of seeing something go from being ugly to being pretty. In hindsight, that's why I loved cutting grass as a kid. So we love the houses that are totally trashed, because when we get finished with a rehab like that, everything is brand new. There's nothing that's just kind of half done.
And I guess the benefit to you then is that your expenses are lower because you don't need to fix anything because everything is replaced.
That's it.
Yeah. Now, is there a certain bedroom, bathroom combination that you like?
In Memphis, Tennessee, and in Little Rock, our average houses, the houses that kind of fall into the sweet spot are we have some 2-1s for sure. But it's the 3-1s to 3 1.5s, sometimes a 3-2. And every once in a while a 4-2, but it's the houses that are 900 to 1,400 square feet is probably about 80% of what ends up fitting our business model. Mm-hmm. Not that we wouldn't do and don't occasionally do stuff that's a little higher and a little lower square footage, but the bulk of what where the numbers end up working are in that area.
Yeah, that's a great size. So you've bought properties in the past that were bigger and smaller and better neighborhoods, worse neighborhoods. Like you've kind of found a sweet spot for what works. Can you tell me more about that?
Sure. One of I think maybe the second or third house I bought was a shotgun house. I think it was like 595 square feet or something like that. It was teeny tiny. And people don't necessarily want to live there. They have to live there, right? And so we want to buy houses now where people want to live. And so in the beginning, I bought houses that were, frankly, in the war zone where you just can't make it work, right? And were too small. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I bought houses that were way too big. You can't make a 3,000 square foot rental house work as well. They'll work in the long term, but you can't make them work as well as you can, the smaller 3 1s that are, 1,000 to 1,300 square feet or something like that.
And that's just because your maintenance costs are just that much more, or the cost to paint a 3,000 square foot house is going to cost a lot more than 1,000 square feet, 1,000 square foot house.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, tell me about finding contractors. With as many houses as you flipped in the early days, was it hard to find good quality contractors?
It was. And what I ended up doing, because I hired people that I thought I was getting a good deal on, and they would show up with, beer on their breath, and I wasn't hiring quality folks. And so it occurred to me that, whenever I was going to Home Depot, like early on Saturday morning when they first opened, man, that's when folks were in there that really had their act together. So I would hang out at Home Depot in the early morning hours when they first opened and give people addresses of, where to meet me. And I would line up, a couple of roofers, a couple of electricians, a couple of general handymen, and I would meet them out on a job site and just do what I'd call the Saturday powwow. And I would line them up to where when I was finished getting an estimate from one person, I was smarter than I was the hour before, and then would meet the next guy and know how to, kind of knew how to talk the lingo a little bit better. And so, yeah, that's I made that shift probably a couple of years in, and it's not how much you can do, it's how fast you can do it, right? And so, getting the right people and getting speed and quality in place is the name of the game.
Now, a lot of times with contractors, you find someone good, they're going to give you a price for the job, but kind of embedded in that price is them marking up the materials. How do you make sure that you're not paying too much for materials? Because that can really kind of, I guess, just kind of make the prices kind of sky high if you're not careful.
Yes, I only did that once, and after that, I just would get labor quotes only, and frankly, I would buy the materials, and I would have the contractors come meet me at Home Depot or Lowe's, and they would pick up the materials, but I would be the one picking them out and paying for it. So, anybody out there who's looking to get bids from contractors, you want a labor quote only.
Oh, that's smart. Now, tell me about when you're managing the property. So when you have a vacancy, one thing that you do that I think is really smart is you don't charge an application fee. Can you tell me the thinking behind that? Because I think a lot of landlords just kind of pass along whatever the cost of the background check is.
Sure. Well, I found out when I was managing properties right out of the gate that if we did not charge an application fee, we would have a lot more folks apply. And when you have a lot more folks apply, you've got a better chance at finding a more qualified applicant and finding that applicant quicker and filling the vacancy quicker. There is a cost to covering the background check, the credit check, and it takes time to do employment verification and rental verification. But we found that it was worth it for my own personal properties. And then when we started a management company shortly thereafter, we just made sure that we kept that in place. So, kind of like right now with all of our company rentals, most of the folks in our company that are doing the day-to-day, whether that's applications processing, leasing, resident retention, repairs, they do not know what is a company-owned property and what's not. And so everyone's properties are treated exactly the same way that we managed my personal portfolio before we cranked up the management company about 20 years ago or so.
Now, you've also found that it's more profitable to keep the rents just a little bit low. Can you tell me your thinking on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So keeping the property filled is the name of the game. Residents renewing their leases is the name of the game. And if you can put someone in the nicest house on the street and have the rent just a little bit below market, even if it's just $25 below market, it's a big deal. And then you combine that with when something breaks, the water heater breaks, a breaker keeps tripping that needs to be replaced. You get out there and make the repair quick. Those two things right there are really what encourage residents to renew their leases. So anytime somebody needs to break a lease and move, we want to know why. And if it's anything other than their family is increasing in size or decreasing in size, or they get transferred or something, we want to know, because it's all about service. And fortunately, we have got about double the industry average as far as the length of resident stay. So, leave some meat on the bone for everyone involved, whether that's the contractors, the residents, everybody. Everybody needs to say, I want to do this deal again when the deal is done. And that includes bankers, mortgage brokers, your property management team, everybody.
Now, you mentioned earlier about the friend that you ran into that was buying rental properties from you. And that really, I think, helped you start your business, Mid-South Home Buyers. Tell me what you're doing today, how Mid-South Home Buyers is helping investors invest in rental properties.
Sure. Well, today we're a full service turnkey provider. So we are providing completely renovated single family homes, as well as new construction build to rent homes. We put residents in the properties. We sell the properties to where they are already cash flowing for the investor on the first day of their purchase. We provide a 1-year bumper to bumper warranty for the home. It's not your typical home warranty where you have to call a home warranty company. If something breaks, we take care of everything from stem to stern, with the exception of acts of God. But that's our bread and butter. Our property management company manages the property for the long haul for the investor to whom we sell. We collect the rent. We disperse the rents to our investors every month. If something breaks, we go fix it. We provide detailed reports on the repairs. And when the properties do turn over and need to be refilled with a resident, we take photos and have a video showing what the property looks like at that time. And then, of course, once we touch up the property, we'll send the after photos. We also have an in-house financing program where folks who are tapped out of the Fannie and Freddie market may want to utilize our in-house financing program. Probably only about 3 to 4% of our investors take advantage of that. And then we have in both Memphis and Little Rock, we have our own hardware stores. So instead of buying at shelf prices from the big boys, we are able to buy in bulk and save money on these rehabs, allowing us to put more money into the rehabs and being able to deliver the highest quality product possible to both the investor and the resident. And then for the long term, what that means for our investors and for our residents is that when something breaks on the property, the technician that's got to make the repair does not have a lot of drive time going to look for the equipment, whether that's HVAC, water heaters, furnaces, you name it. It's all about speed. And if we can take care of the resident quickly and not have the tech driving around all over the place, which that technician would be driving around on the investor's dollar, right? And so we're able to put ourselves in a position to where we have almost a 100% fulfillment rate for materials for taking care of all of the rental properties. Because at the end of the day, our job is to make sure that when a hardworking parent comes home at the end of the day from work, the water heater's fixed and they can give their child a nice warm bath and provide that quality of life.
And this is really a big operation. How many properties did you sell last year?
650.
Terry really runs a first-class operation with Mid-South homebuyers. As I've said on the podcast before, I have bought 5 properties from Terry, and I've been very happy with them. If you want to learn more about what they're doing, you can check out his website at midsouthhomebuyers.com. I'd like to thank Chaley Ridge from Ridge Lending Group for sponsoring today's episode. If you're looking to buy a rental property, whether you're just getting started or you want to add to your portfolio, reach out to Chaley. She's a nationwide lender. She has a ton of different loan programs, and she can find something that works for you. If you want to track her down, just go to ridgelendinggroup.com, NMLS 42056. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. Make sure you hit the follow button. I put out a new episode every single Tuesday. And if you're following the podcast, you'll get notified when the next episode comes out. My name is Dan Lane, and this has been the Rental Income Podcast.